Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is August 13th, and we're going to start off as we always do on a positive note. That's right, these are your pro wrestling birthdays. 1949, one half of the Killer Bees, Jumpin' Jim Brunzell. 1970, he's the runt of the Dudley family, Spike Dudley. Of course, on the flip side of that coin, your pro wrestling deaths for August 13th. 2007, the former Crush, Brian Adams. 2010, former WWF Tag Team Champion, Lance Cade. 2018, a member of the Hart family, a member of the Hart Foundation, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Alright, enough of the sad stuff. It's time to get to the meat and potatoes. That's right, these are your pro wrestling history highlights for August 13th. Jumping in the Wayback Machine and going all the way to 1944, where we see Lou Thesz become the first two-time Texas heavyweight champion, defeating Ernie Duske in Houston, Texas. 5 years later in 1949, Dave Levine defeats George Bolos in Toledo, Ohio, for the Jack Pfeffer promoted World Heavyweight title to begin his third reign. Moving to the 50s, 1951, Frenchie Roy defeats Dale Haddock in Oregon to become the Pacific Coast Junior Heavyweight Champion. Grooving into the 60s, 1962, during a title defense against Bobo Brazil in Newark, New Jersey, NWA World Heavyweight Champion Buddy Rogers claimed he had a groin injury. The match was stopped and Brazil was declared the winner, but he refused to accept the victory. It was announced on September 6th that Bobo Brazil was the new NWA World Heavyweight Champion after a doctor found nothing wrong with Rogers. Rogers won the title back from Brazil on October 30th in Toledo, Ohio, but this title change is never recognized by the NWA. Grabbing my bell bottoms and going to the 70s, 1978, Mil Mascaras defeats the Destroyer in Japan to win the All Japan Pro Wrestling United States Heavyweight title, ending the Destroyer's fourth reign. Staying in 1978, the Mongolian Stomper wins his seventh NWA Southeastern Heavyweight title in Knoxville, Tennessee, by ending Robert Fuller's fourth reign. Grabbing my boombox and going to the 80s, 1982, Mike Sharp defeats Killer Khan for the Mid-South Louisiana Heavyweight title in Shreveport, Louisiana, beginning his second reign. 2 years later in 1984, Tom Pritchard and Brett Sawyer win their second NWA Pacific Northwest Tag Team titles in Portland, Oregon, by defeating Mr. Ebony, Tom Jones, and Mike Miller. Grabbing my flannel and going to the decade of grunge, 1993. WCW held its 24th Clash of the Champions event at the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach, Florida, with a main event of WCW Heavyweight Champion Big Van Vader with Harley Race pinning Davey Boy Smith after Race tripped Smith while he had Vader up for a suplex to retain the title. Moving ahead to 1996, the WWF held the 9th annual SummerSlam pay-per-view at the Gund Arena in Cleveland, Ohio, with a main event of WWF champion Shawn Michaels with Jose Lothario defeating Vader with Jim Cornette to retain the title. Vader had originally won the match twice, first by countout and then by disqualification, but because titles can only change hands by pinfall or submission, Cornette demanded that the match restart both times. WWF President Gorilla Monsoon allowed this with Michaels' agreement. Those were your short but sweet pro wrestling history highlights for August 13th. I'm the Eclectic Gentleman Stephen Watts, and we'll see you tomorrow.
But to return to Mr. Galindo, the big question now is, which one's got the Tony? But wrestling looks more strenuous, and with another pair on hand, you've got Rough on the Ref.
For the fans, by the fans. WFIA, the legendary wrestling fan organization that started back in 1967, is back, more interactive and better than ever. Whether you're a fan, wrestler, or promoter, join WFIA, Wrestling Fans International Association, and see what WFIA can do for you at thewfia.org. For the love of the art, the business, and the community, thewfia.org.